Tabby.
And I'm Caitlin, and today we're discussing Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller.
We're so excited to get into this one. Sav, one of my favorite authors. This was not my favorite out of all of the series that she's written. There's 5 total, I think, in the Monsters and Muses series. They're all fantastic, all very, very different. This one was just a little frightening.
Yeah, this one is just not quite suited to my personal tastes, but I'm sure lots of people, this is their favorite one. So,
but you do come to love the characters as they reappear in other books.
Sure. Yeah, and I will say on Goodreads, this has a 3.54 out of 5 stars. So I feel like the rating kind of tracks maybe for me. I think mostly it's not people's favorite.
But you have to read it. You really do.
Yeah, you really should.
You got to do it. So overall, I gave it a 5.8 out of 10, which probably translates roughly to a 3.2 out of 5. I was kind of concerned for most of the book. Things would be going really, really well. And then I'm like, oh, that took a turn for the absolute worst.
Mm-hmm.
And they handled that in the absolute worst way possible. And also, all the characters, every single one of them does need therapy.
Oh, yes. I think that will continue to be a theme throughout this entire series. If you guys continue to read it, which you should. And we'll probably talk about the rest of them at some point. I rated it a 6 out of 10 because for me, and this is the second time I've read it, so I feel like it was more fun to read it now and kind of see some of the characters that we get more information on later in the series. It just made me more excited to reread their books. So there are things that I like about this book, about setting up the rest of the Monsters and Muses universe, but in general, these two scare the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
I do not like their love story. I just think it's deranged, which is it's on brand because it's Hades and Persephone. So
Hades is also deranged.
Yeah.
And you know what? The more books I read about Persephone and her backstory, the more I realized she's also slightly unhinged.
Yeah, which is why, I mean, obviously there's multiple tellings of Hades and Persephone, yeah. And sometimes they're actually in love with each other. Other times he just sort of kidnaps her.
Right.
But in this particular retelling, she is obsessed with him just as much as he is with her. And so I kind of like that they're both down bad and they're both insane, and it kind of makes them perfect for each other. And it's not wholesome, but it's sweet for them.
It's their own brand of love.
It is their own brand of love that I think they should not sell to anyone else.
So before we get started on the characters, I am going to read the back of the book just for some context before we dive in here. So it's a 2-parter. First part is from Elena's perspective, and it says, to most, Cal Anderson is a villain. Harbinger of death, keeper of souls, frequenter of nightmares. Dr. Death, Hades incarnate. They say he stole me, usurped my fiancé, and filled the cracks in my heart with empty promises, imprinted his crimson fingerprints on my psyche, and tried to set me free. They're not wrong per se, except it was my choice to stay. And this is from Cal's perspective. To most, Elena Ricci is an innocent, goddess of springtime, lover of poetry, angel of my nightmares. Little one, Persephone personified. They say I ruined her, shattered her virtue, and devoured her soul like a succulent pomegranate, embedded my evil as deep as I could possibly get, and tried to set her free. They're not wrong per se, except it was she who ruined me.
So we'll start by talking about Elena Ricci. She is the main character of this book. Listen, she's so smart. She's well learned. She's a smart young lady. But she is so fucking dumb. She's really dumb.
She's so angry.
She's a very angry young lady. She makes a lot of just piss poor choices. And I know it's because she never gets to make any decisions in her own life. So when she does, she just makes the wrong ones. But she, like, even as a kid, she's like getting in these weird fights all the time at school. She is like, the moment she turns 18, she like begs this man who's like, what, 12 years older than her?
Yeah, like well into his 30s.
Yeah, to like take her virginity. She's like, please, I know that you murder people for my family, but if
And
you
I'm
could
really
just
into
bone
that.
me. Yeah, she's really dumb. Love her
Also,
though.
it's just like I feel like partly too, like she feels like she just has like nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So she's like, might as well go out with a bang.
Which yeah, I'm sure that that's a totally valid way to respond to the way she was raised.
Sure. But still, I also just feel like in every single Mafia book, if the main character's name is Elena, like they're gonna be a dumb bitch.
Yeah. And it's like they're always the eldest. They're always the eldest daughter.
That's a firstborn child's name.
Yeah, that's a firstborn child's name, and character traits in Mafia books is to be so fucking stupid,
Just
but
so problematic.
um but not stupid in the like she's very book smart. She's just real dumb everywhere else. But I do like that she's like she's kind, and I think it's kind of like that grumpy sunshine situation. Like in a way, like
Yeah.
she's deranged, do not get me wrong, but she's kind-hearted.
It's like Grumpy Sunshine, but with a dark twist.
It's like,
Grumpy and like absolute storm cloud.
she just always is in like a much more like silly, goofy mood than Cal. But she's also crazy. But I do think she obviously really needs some fucking therapy. Like, first of all, every time she feels a strong emotion, she is explosive. Like, there is nothing, like, she meets Cal's sister out on the sidewalk and like doesn't know her, so she like assumes that it's maybe his ex-lover or that he's still sleeping
That
with
was
her.
such a big jump.
I know, I literally know. And then she just like is immediately angry and yelling, and it's like, hey girl,
You
like,
need
let's
to
take a breath.
calm down.
Second of all, she also literally enjoys watching her man kill a person in retribution. Like, hello.
It's like the idea of it, I guess, someone defending your honor, I suppose I could get behind it.
But once we cross
But
that line to where they're actively murdering a man in front of you, like, no.
and she like gets off on it too. Like,
Yeah, it literally turns her on.
but so does he. I don't know. Maybe it is a
Oh,
match made in heaven. I don't know.
they scare me.
In hell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's kind of a boss babe though.
Mm-hmm. She is.
Like, good for her for like standing up to her parents. Love that. Like, that was such a good just twist to the book.
I know, because like I feel like normally they're just like, yeah, but I don't want you
forgive
to do
you.
anything. That's still my family. But she was like, no, I'll do it myself.
She's like, fuck those bitches. Like,
Yeah.
I'll set the whole thing on fire.
And then I was like worried because of her sisters, but then it was like, oh, they came to live with us.
Yeah, they did.
They're fine.
Love them. Cal is insane.
Yeah.
He's clinically insane. Um, I do feel bad for him. It sounds like he's had a rough go of life.
Uh-huh.
Um, for sure.
As
But
many
does that
villains do.
excuse your behavior?
Yeah. His villain origin story makes sense.
It's a bit dark.
It's a bit dark, isn't it? He
Huh. Such a problematic character Cal is.
it's like, again, I like him more in the rest of the series than I do in his own book.
It's like I was rooting for him.
Yeah,
to have like good character development. And I
that's
would
true.
say, in all honesty, like he had pretty good character development. He still had some tendencies that I maybe didn't agree with, but
Yeah.
she loves him, and I guess that's all that matters.
But he bought himself out of the mafia and world of murder so that they could just have their own little happiness, which he's still involved in organized crime, but he's like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna,
like don't get it twisted. He's just running his own organized crime.
yeah, but he's like, I'm gonna stop like being a hitman for other people. But if I have to kill people for my own benefit, maybe.
So be it.
Yeah,
No,
but I
and
do
it's
feel
like
like also the storyline with Violet, he finally kind of like closed that chapter and like realized that she just did not want a relationship with him. And so I think that took
which
a
is
lot.
really sad.
It is sad. And I feel bad, but then it's also like he is also like not a good dude.
It's
So
like, yeah, maybe you're not like a super role model brother. I don't know if you want to just keep bringing more people into the fold here, but
yeah, he's like, no, she's right. I need to work on myself.
that's valid.
Yeah.
I didn't have good things to say about Violet, but I do madly respect her for being like, I don't want any part of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like I get it, which we can kind of talk about her really quick because I was gonna say, like, what I don't understand is it kind of feels like she's punishing Cal for their bio dad being a piece of shit, even though it's like not his fault.
Right.
But then it's like I also don't know how much she knows about his criminal
I feel
dealing.
like he just probably exudes like this aura about him that like just says dangerous.
I think she can maybe just tell that she shouldn't get like mixed up with him.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Which
I
makes
do
me
think
like
it's weird that she's
not mad
also
at her.
still staying on the island though.
I do too, because I think it was like part of her wanted to, like, she even was standing outside the bar that day and was like, I'm trying to make myself go in. So I think like part of her wanted
A
a
relationship.
relationship with her brother, but
Yeah.
it hurt too much to like think about her family. I don't know.
I hope she writes a book about Violet. I really do just want to know more about her. I feel
Yeah.
like she's maybe saving her for last because she's going to end up also being involved in something absolutely fucking crazy.
Ooh, what if Violet is actually like also really fucked up and like murders people and is a
I bet she's
hitman?
a serial killer.
And then what if she's like, I can't have a relationship with my brother because I can't drag him into like such a fucked up life. And then they find out that they're both fucked up. And they're like, oh, okay. Love
No,
you.
I bet she's like a serial killer for sure.
That would honestly be so dope.
I love that for her. That's happening. Sav, go ahead and write that down.
Sav, write it.
Um, but back to Cal. So another reason I feel really bad for him, obviously his relationship with Carmen was, extremely, extremely unhealthy and
Yeah.
toxic and like very inappropriate as well. Like he was essentially a child.
Yeah, he was groomed. Like he started working for RAF when he was like 16.
That being said, I do I don't think he groomed Elena, but also I think he kind of did because it's like from a young age, like obviously like him bringing her like poetry and whatever was him trying to like just appease her as a child because she was dealing with a lot of shit at home.
Well, and at first he didn't realize that it was where Elena was staying. He thought it was where Carmen was
Right.
staying.
But then he kept doing it.
Then he kept doing it. Yeah.
Like the first time was a mistake, but I do think he had this, and like he says the infatuation didn't start with her until after she is 18. I don't believe that.
I don't either. And I was willing to like look past it, but I think you're right.
I can't though, because it's like he was literally groomed and he's doing the same thing.
Yeah,
And
I
that's,
think
I'm sure, like a learned behavior, but
it's probably like he's not conscious of it, but I think you're right.
I also feel like he's probably very aware of her attraction to him. And he
Yes.
didn't really like he would say things to like stop her, but he still kept bringing her things.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So I don't know.
And then whenever Ralph like assigned him to keep an eye on her, I feel like he was like, oh, well, now I have like, it's because I'm doing my job. And he like
Yeah.
justified it that way.
Yeah, because I'm sure in his head he's like, this is fucked up. But he also is like, I'm a fucked up person, so what are you gonna do?
No, you're right. That's exactly what he was thinking. He was like, I
Yeah,
shouldn't do this, but
but I'm going to.
I'm going to. And that's
Yeah.
fucked up.
And like I won't, say that he doesn't love Elena. I think he loves her very, very much, and he obviously loves his daughters very, very much.
Hmm.
And I'm sure he's a great father, but it's like that's a little sus.
It is sus.
I don't love
Especially,
age gaps like
yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
I feel like with Mafia novels, you are always going to get like an 18 to 20-year-old female main character with like a 30-year-old male character.
Yeah, I really don't love it. And that's one of the things I disliked about this book. It's on the
Yeah.
list.
But I do think Cal probably smells good.
I'm
So
sure,
that's like a plus for him.
yeah, I'm sure he smells
Him
real
and
good. I'm sure
whiskey
he's,
sounds like a great combo.
mm-hmm.
He
I
just
feel
smells like
like,
fireball.
yeah, he smells like Fireball, but like an expensive Fireball, if there
Yeah.
is one. Yeah, so that's kind of Cal.
Cal in a nutshell.
He's a lot. And then we have Ariana, who is Elena's one of Elena's sisters, the older of her two younger sisters. There's definitely like more to her than what we see at the surface level because Cal at one point in the book is like, I think she's actually like a lot darker than she lets on. He can like kind of like see something in her and he is like, I think she's a little fucked up, like her sister.
So I take back what I said earlier. So the fifth book in this series, the newest one's actually about Ari. And that's probably the darkest one that she's written to date.
I have not read the fifth one yet.
So yeah, no, it's certainly not this one. It is definitely that one.
Amazing. So Ariana is a lot darker than she lets
However,
on.
I like it better because they're two, fully consenting adults with fully formed brains.
That makes me feel better. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that one is called Souls and Sorrows.
Very,
I've
very
not read
good.
that one yet, but I will, and I'm excited to learn more about her. I think her sister is a good character. Like, she's there for her sister when she needs her. She's always like cheering her up by kind of like joking with her. Also, whenever Elena learned that Cal had slept with her mother like a decade prior and was like so fucking pissed that she couldn't even like say anything, Ariana didn't know what was going on, but she just looked at her and she was like, do you want to like ride to the theater with me? Like she could just tell. Like she has like that like telepathy with her.
Yeah.
And I
She
really
is
like their relationship.
truly the second child, like holding the family together.
Yeah, she's like,
She is the glue.
are you good? And Elena was like, not really. And she's like,
No,
okay,
girl.
come on, we're going. Get
Let
in,
me
we're
just
going shopping.
let me just unlock the door for you. Just Gucci on in here. Yeah, no, her book's great. So something that I do just like about this whole book in general, and I'll talk about it a little bit more, is just like the Easter eggs, going back and reading it again, like of
Yeah.
all the characters we're about to meet later on.
Yeah, same.
Like Jonas.
Yes. Oh my God, I love Jonas.
Jonas.
He's so funny in this book too. I mean, he is funny, but like I was like giggling. He's defiant towards Cal in like a fun way. Like he would never actually like be defiant, but he's
No.
like he pushes his buttons on purpose. Um,
Jonas's book is just one of my favorites.
it's good. I love Jonas.
It's so good.
His book is the third in the series. It's called Oaths and Omissions. I really love his like development, but again, there's a bit of an age gap, which I don't love. Looking past that
And
though,
also it's like his female character in that one too is like I think maybe mentally unwell, not in the way that like Elena and Cal are. Like I think she maybe like actually is like a little mentally unstable.
like there would actually be a chance of like helping her heal herself, unlike Elena.
Yeah, no, like she's redeemable probably. But also very much so probably needs to get that checked out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like she concerns me a little bit, but I love her.
Yeah, I mean, the book is
Lenny.
good, but I think there's always going to be some kind of like moral
Something I'm like,
objection.
I think that was really wrong, but I'm gonna look past it.
But such is the universe of dark romance. Like,
Right.
it's the genre. Like, you're not going to look at a relationship in one of these books and be like, yeah, that's healthy. Like, relationship goals. No, that's not what these are.
They're all so bad. These are all such toxic fucking people. Like every single one of them,
Yeah.
like are probably people you would not want to associate yourselves with in real life. But like
Mhm.
I love reading it.
But I'm rooting for them in their books,
Yeah, but
in
it's
their
like I
little
hope you're
world.
doing well.
Yeah, but if I ever meet one of these people, I am calling the police.
Yeah. Marceline, she's another just small. She's my bitch. Like honestly,
I
like
love her. I love her.
yeah,
She's
she's just a
like,
queen.
she's so loyal. She never questions anything. She's also just like, when Elena's super lonely, like she steps in and like hangs out with her and like
Yes. She's just
entertains
along
her
for the
whims.
ride.
Yeah, she's a queen, a
Uh,
real one.
Kisses Marceline. And then finally we have Rafe and Carmen. Rafe is short for Raphael. Her parents are trash. They're trash. They deserved everything that was coming to them.
Yeah,
Carmen, it's just disgusting. She's a gross lady. I am so glad that Elena was like, I'm actually never helping you again. Like,
yeah.
you can kick rocks.
She stood up to her.
I
Like,
wish she had killed her.
yeah. But I do kind of think that whenever Cal was like, let this be a lesson to you, like, I don't care enough about you to kill you, I was like, ooh, yeah, let
Yeah,
her
for
suffer.
sure.
Let her live. And I am really glad, like, it was nice, I suppose, that she like said, I don't think she meant it when she kind of like apologized at the end when she was talking to Elena. I don't think she
No.
truly meant it. It
No.
was nice that she said it, but it was even nicer that Elena did not forgive her and instead slapped her across the face.
No, she's a snake. There's no way she meant it.
Yeah, I don't
She
think
wouldn't
she
have
meant
done
it.
it in the first place.
Yeah. And then also her dad is just like a little bitch, and I think he's actually so scared of Cal, but pretends
Yeah,
not to
because it's
be.
like Cal's better than him and smarter than him in literally every single way.
Yeah. And he's like, I made you. And Cal's like, okay.
He's like, I would have figured it out one way or another. So
Yeah. He's like, you're really giving yourself too much credit. You actually ruined my life. So,
I am very unwell because of you. Thank you.
yeah, like, appreciate it.
But those are, kind of the main characters. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things we liked. I do want to circle back really quick to what I was just talking about with the Easter eggs.
Oh, yes.
So I loved the end of the book. So like we get to see Cal's future with Elena and their kids and blah blah blah. But when he walks into his office and he sees that girl sitting at his desk, like it means so much more to me now that I've read the second book
Yeah.
because it's kind of like just a continuation of it. But I
I love
freaking
Riley.
love the ending.
Yeah, I do too. I love the ending. I think of all the characters that exist in this universe, Riley is actually my favorite.
And like she's a good person. Like I don't have a lot of bad things to say about Riley. I think she was just put in a very bad situation and like dealt with it the best that she could.
She was, yeah. I mean, like, what else are you gonna do? She didn't have any power to change the situation. And then
Right.
also, like, which you totally have to read this book. It's Vipers and Virtuosos is the second one. But I like that, yes, Aiden is fucking unhinged,
But I
but
love him.
I love how just hung up he is on this woman. He's so fucking feral for her, but like in a better way, in like a way that I resonate with
Not in
more.
a healthier way, but yeah, it is a more relatable way.
Yeah, it's definitely not healthy. I do not want to, like, on the
We're not
record, it is not
condoning
healthy,
it.
but I do love it more.
No, but I also just so like I said earlier, some cool thing about this whole series is that Cal is a reoccurring character in every single one of these books, whether it's like a small thing or like a big thing. He is always a reoccurring character. I like his cameos better than I liked him in this like book that he is the main character in.
I agree. I really do, which is so funny, but it's like I can take him in smaller doses that way, and he feels more like a comedic relief in those books than a really scary man.
Yeah. Well, because they're like, oh, here he comes, big dark rain cloud, whatever.
And he is.
And he is, but like, especially in book 2, just his relationship with the main female character is so cute. It's so honestly, pure.
And that's like, I feel like a glimpse of like him like whenever his daughters grow up. What'd you say?
It's like, it just shows his humanity, which you don't see much in this book.
I know. So I think like him as a father is going to be like good for him. And like, he's already kind of like, I guess you could say like a father figure to Riley or like a big brother. Yeah. Which is really sweet. I do like that aspect a lot.
So he does have some definitely redeeming aspects. You just don't see them much in this book.
Nope. But they're kind of in the epilogue, I guess, where he's like bouncing his daughter.
The epilogue is the favorite part of this book.
Yeah. Some other things that we liked. So I love the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
Like she just is like expecting to go talk to Mateo before their wedding, and then she like notices, oh, he's dying.
He's not alive.
And then all of a sudden Cal's there and she's like, oh, that makes sense. And she's just like, yep, I'm getting stolen. That's what's happening.
She's like, wow, this is about to be an even shittier day.
Yeah, she's like, wow, that I thought this today was going to be bad, but this is wild. And then she like fights a little bit, but her heart's not in it. She's like, low-key, I kind of like this.
She's like, yeah, take me literally anywhere else.
Take me away.
But it's like, what a fucking power move on Cal's part. He's like, well, you know what? I'm going to take what I want.
Yeah. And honestly, that's like the first thing that like sets off the issues that he's having with like Elena's parents. I'm sure that they couldn't stand him anyway, but now that he's like out from underneath their thumb, they are like panicking.
Yeah.
Because they've had control over him up until this point. He hasn't really like done anything, you know, like,
yeah.
I think they knew that he is more powerful than them at this point, but he hadn't been a problem until this point.
Right. Because like it was just a mutual understanding between the two. Like he enjoyed what he did.
Yeah.
And they benefited from it.
Exactly. But as soon as he was like, you know, I think you guys fucking suck, they were like, oh no.
Well, it's like Carmen's just a little jealous hoe. And so like the only reason she was so against it was, one, because she wished that was her.
Yeah.
And two, like I think she resents her children because they're everything she couldn't be.
She even says as much to Elena's face, which I'm like,
wow.
Oh my God. I also really like the fact that we've already talked about like the Easter eggs and stuff, but the side characters being introduced in this book, you like want to know more about them. They're written in a way that they're really intriguing, which I think is great because then a lot of them,
she does that on purpose.
Yeah, like have their own books and backstories, which is really great. So I love that.
Yeah. The sex scenes honestly were so scary, but also great. Like
I wasn't like into them because they were just like scary to me, but
like I was into it, but I wasn't.
Yeah. My favorite of all of their like sex scenes is definitely the recital.
Yes.
I think that's everyone's favorite. There's like actually
pulling up to the recital, at the recital. Like
yeah. There is some there's fan art that I believe Sav has like posted. There's fan art of the box at the recital.
I wonder if it's on her Instagram, maybe?
It is not safe for work, so if it is on Instagram, it would be a censored version. But
I bet it's on like Twitter then.
I'm sure it's on Twitter.
I don't have Twitter anymore.
I don't I don't either, but let me just Google like
Yeah. See if
Sav
someone
R
posted that.
Miller.
We're not going to post it, but you can
Yeah.
also Google this. But no, I do think if there's one thing that I can always guarantee, it's that Sav R Miller is about to write the most banging sex scene.
Yeah.
Like, she does not miss when it comes to those. Like,
For real.
and you can tell she's also just like researched really well too. Like,
Yeah.
as
Well,
much
and
as
that's
I
the thing.
don't agree.
We're gonna kind of discuss further in our discussion questions about like one of the particular kinks in this book.
Yeah.
But it does make you wonder how much of her research
Was practiced.
personal. Yeah, this art is not on her Instagram. Oh well. I'm sure that you probably do have to pay to like see, because I've never seen the uncensored version either, but I'm sure that it's available for purchase.
The only person that ever comes through on that type of stuff is Katie Robert.
Yeah. She gives
She
that
is
out for free.
like, she is just out here posting that. She's like, I paid for this, so you don't have to.
Yeah, which is honestly a boss
Like,
babe.
thanks,
Love her.
sweetie.
The
fucking Kraken.
I respect also the decision of artists to make their work be paid for. That's fair.
Sure. I'm just saying that was very generous of her.
Mm-hmm. We stand Katie Robert.
Some things that we disliked. There's a couple.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about the age gap already. The age gap is so concerning.
Yes.
So concerning. But you know what's even more concerning?
What?
His nickname for her.
Little one.
It makes me want to fucking gag.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Jail. Goodbye.
Jail. Right to jail.
Straight to jail. Do
Fucking
not pass go.
perv. Ew.
Yeah, I hate
like
that.
You're just highlighting the fact that she is literally a child. A child bride.
Yes, I hate that so much. And another thing that I hate is, okay, so the fact that he slept with her mother a decade prior, I mean, you can't change that. He didn't know that eventually he was going to be into Elena. That's fair. What I hate is, first of all, that it happened. Second of all, when they're having like a hate fuck at the recital and they're kind of like, he basically was like, I couldn't very well like tell you while I was buried in you that I slept with or that I saw your mom in a similar state. And I was like,
like, you didn't have to say that. You could have just said when I was with your mom, but he was like, no, I fucking had her just like this. And it's like,
I really hated that very much.
Bro, you're not making it better.
Yeah, that I cannot imagine being on the receiving end of that comment.
Yeah, and she's like, all right, well, who is better? Like, I guess.
Oh, I really hate it.
You know what it kind of reminded me of, though? Like, in a very, like, not super connected way.
What?
It reminded me of Twilight. And basically, like, Jacob thought he was in love with Bella, but in fact, he was in love with her daughter the whole time.
Oh my God.
Her infant daughter.
I
was like, wow, this is a very similar situation, isn't it?
I really hate that part. Like, because I will say, I unironically, I do like the Twilight series. But of course, I have beef with many aspects of it.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Even the most diehard, twihard, if you will, fans.
Shut the fuck up.
I think we all agree that we have lots of issues with the some of the things that are canon, and prefer to think of things in our own headcanon way at times.
Because I'm pretty sure word for word, the dialogue was so similar. Jacob's like, I can't help it. And in Cal's head, he's like, I can't help it. And I'm like, yeah, you can. Anyway, that was the connection I made in my head. So my last two brain cells brought up for me.
Yeah, it is. It's giving imprinting on a baby.
Yeah. This is actually a Twilight fan fiction. So another thing that we like are just consistently never a fan of, and we talk about it a lot, is the epilogue of books.
Yeah.
Like it is always such a cop out to me when they have like this whole happy ending and they have a family and like they're all great and whatever. It's like these people are twisted.
Yeah.
They're twisted. And in my head, I think it was probably a little bit of a control thing for Cal. He was like, I'm going to put a baby in this woman just to prove that I can. And so that she is tied to me forever, no matter what. And like,
she probably liked that.
Yeah. And that's what doesn't sit well with me. It's like, she was like, oh, yeah, it's so great. So happy. No, 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 no. No, this was a control thing.
What's really weird too is just like they went from him being a hitman to not anymore. He was just like, no, I just don't do that anymore.
No, because like in this little prologue thing that she wrote, he was like, I have to feed the beast inside of me. And I can only do that by killing people.
Yeah.
And like he even says, you know, Elena kind of heals that a little bit. I just don't feel like that's something that just goes away though.
Yeah, she like makes some kind of comment in the epilogue. Not makes the comment, but like in her mind is like, I wonder if him like drinking my blood while we're having sex is keeping that at bay. And I'm like, that's not the same thing though. So like, hopefully I guess, but that's not the same thing as killing someone.
Another reason this is a Twilight fanfic is because he does in fact drink her blood. Anyway.
In conclusion.
The lines are there. The connections are there.
He is a combination of Edward Cullen and Jacob Black.
Crazy. I also like I get the whole point of like carving your name into somebody. It's supposed to be not even like a romantic thing. I think again it's kind of a control thing. And I won't pretend to fully understand it because I'm not into that. But it's like I don't feel like mutilating somebody is like romantic, like a romantic gesture. And like I don't think it was initially. Obviously, like when he did it the first time, that was most certainly to mark his territory. It was like an alpha type move. But it's like then it kind of just became their thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, cut me open and drink from my thigh. And it's like, oh my God.
That's just something that we just like we can't understand it.
I don't want to shame anybody. I would never kink shame anybody, but it's like I just don't understand.
I don't either.
And I think what rubs me the wrong way about it is because he is already such like a controlling person that it's just like if I don't put my mark on this person, like do I actually control her?
Yeah.
But then she does it back. So
yeah, and it's so like unabashedly like unhealthy. Like they do not care. They recognize how toxic it is. So
it's just so wild to me.
It is. And again, I suppose I love that for them.
We will not shame.
Some other because we talked about like so the knife play is a kink throughout this book. There's some other kind of like tropes. There's like kidnapping, I guess like marriage of convenience on
I love those.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that particular
I would say it's more of like a forced marriage or like an arranged marriage type thing.
That is true. It's like yeah, but it's like
it is also convenient for him.
He was getting something out of it. Like it was supposed to like make it to where he could like transfer his trust or whatever, like from his grandpa. I don't remember. Like it never went into full detail about like that, but I knew he had to get married to like inherit that money fully or something.
All we know is that he got his bag.
Yeah, I really never fully understood that. And then the forced proximity, they're living together and they already were obsessed with each other, but it became like more of a romantic love.
Which again, I do just eat that shit up.
Yes, same. And then we already kind of said it's like a variation of Grumpy Sunshine, I suppose.
Yeah, what do you call it when they're both like mentally unhinged?
They're both mentally unhinged, but she's meant to like represent Persephone, like springtime sunshine.
Yeah, I feel like she's definitely like the happier one in the relationship, I suppose. Yeah.
It's definitely not
it's not completely what you would like expect of it.
And then there's symbolism, of course. They represent Hades and Persephone, so there's symbolism throughout, like the pomegranates, the asphodel, the Alplana Island in general, just kind of representing the underworld, like Cal's little slice of
A little slice of
territory.
hell.
Yeah, he just owns that. And then poetry. So Cal and Elena, like you said, it started off, it was unintentional at first. He left a poem for her thinking it was going to be left for Carmen, but then they kind of used that to communicate, and he like used it as a way to like fill a void. Like they were both lonely. It was low-key fucked up. We don't love it.
God, the more you just describe it, the worse it is.
It is. I'm telling you, this is not my favorite book. But then once they become like romantically involved, they also use poetry when they're unable to like confront each other, as kind of like a shield.
Healthy.
Like he leaves her and leaves a poem because he doesn't want to say goodbye, and she does the same thing at the recital, because they're both emotionally stunted, and that's fine. And then even we're in the prequel, which we're going to talk more about in the minisode, Elena compares their like the act of them sleeping together as poetry, like reciting poetry.
Because you know what? Not all poetry is good.
That's so true. So true. So yeah, that's this book in a nutshell. And now we're gonna discuss a few like questions that have come up along the way.
I got some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is nothing to do with your personal preference. I'm not coming for you here. I truly just like am curious about it. What do you think you have to go through to enjoy like kinks like knife play or like bondage or like anything like that? Like to where like you are like harming yourself or like borderline harming yourself to find like sexual completion?
I really feel like, and this is coming from us who have no background in like psychology, just so everyone knows. I feel like my best, most educated guess is that you have to have had some kind of like violence or harm happen to you that was out of your control.
And like doing it in the bedroom like makes you like feel more like in control.
Yeah, because it feels like you're like taking that power back in that way. Because from what I understand, because I've actually like looked into this. So there's like some kind of, I can't remember what the name of it is, but there is a quiz out there that like describes whether or not you're like a sadomasochist or, you know, like it describes like your sexual archetype.
I took the same one.
Yeah. And so I was like, what is like, I want to know more about like some of these things. And then I found like forums and stuff of people who are into BDSM in the way that it's like more extreme.
Sure.
They will, depending on the person, obviously, I'm not trying to generalize this to everyone, but a lot of times they will actually have like an actual contract with their partner.
Right.
Outlining like all the rules, like what they're comfortable with, what, you know, they're not comfortable with. Like that way, whenever they're actually like having sex, they know beforehand, like what's off limits.
Right.
Cal and Elena obviously did not have that discussion.
Cal was like, it is simply not up to you.
Cal was like, I'm just going to carve my initial into your skin. And
you're gonna fucking like it.
So scary. That is a way scarier to me than people who take the time to actually take care of themselves and write up these limits that they have beforehand. I think you absolutely should do that if you are serious about exploring things that could be harmful to you. Like he does do like breath play. I forgot to mention that.
Ooh,
he does like not choke her. Like,
see, I feel like I maybe understand that one a little bit more because it does.
It follows that same.
Like it releases endorphins, I guess, but
yeah,
maybe knife play does the same. But it's like not
adrenaline at least
damaging you. I don't know.
But the thing is, like,
knife play just seems a little more extreme to me.
It does, and also the fact that he's like drinking her blood afterwards, and like a lot of times they like spread her blood, like smear her blood. And I'm like, I don't like that.
Like that is like, or not even primal. That's just like
I just think it's like scary. It's giving
primitive.
like
It's like
religious ritual, like cult ritual to me. And I don't like that.
Yeah. Because I know, like, with like primal play, stuff like that, like they, get into that a little bit, but I don't know, not to like that extent.
I was gonna say, like, a lot of times, like, I definitely feel like primal play, it could kind of go that way, but I feel like it doesn't have to go
No,
like, where
it doesn't.
anyone's bleeding.
It does not at all.
Yeah, so I just don't know. Like, I have my best guess is that they're just trying to like take back that like sliver of control
Yeah.
in some way. But what
And like
scares
maybe
me
you
about
don't have any trauma. Maybe you're just into it, but
maybe, but I'm just like, I'd be surprised. And also, I think what scares me the most about its representation in this book is that it seems very unsafe. Like they did
yeah,
not,
it's not done safely at all.
yeah, like they
And
didn't outline any boundaries. Like it's just scary.
I think like the justification for that is that he is a doctor, and so like he probably wouldn't do anything to like actually like mortally wound her, but still.
I know
But still.
she said like I want to sleep with you. Like she gave consent that way. She did also, I believe, in
I
the
mean, she
prequel.
did agree to it.
He pressed the knife there and she just kind of was like, sure.
See,
Like,
this was more of like a devious consent thing. Like it's
because it was
like
like heat of the moment. They were already sleeping
yeah,
together.
like she probably wouldn't have agreed to that, like if they're just having that in a normal conversation. But
Yeah.
because like she was getting turned on by it, she was like, yeah, this is okay. But like
Yeah.
just imagine if she hadn't. Like that would probably be the most terrifying
Yeah.
thing to ever happen.
That would have been so scary.
He's like, yeah, I'm gonna slice you up. And it's like, oh God, no.
And at that point in her life, like when she was level-headed, if they weren't actively like having sex, if he had been like, okay, let's set some ground rules for when we do have sex. Are you okay with me carving my initial into your thigh?
Would
She
you like
probably would have
that?
said no.
No, devious consent is always one that just, I don't know, like kind of gets me. Because at least with like the consensual non-consent, it's like they have agreed before at some point in
Yes.
time that you can do this to me whenever you want to.
Yeah.
But with like
It's like predetermined consent
like you won't know when
in
it's
that way.
coming, but it is
Yeah.
going to happen. But no, with devious consent, like it just I don't know.
Because it's like coercion in a way.
Yeah. It's like, no, you're gonna like this. And it's like, all right, I guess.
Yeah. Again, I think it's just because they are both unwell.
Right. I don't know. Second question is, do you think the authors have attempted any of like the kinks that they've written about, or do you think it's just something that like intrigues them or that they think is gonna like sell well?
I feel like I don't know because part of me wants to say like, oh, they just like are interested in it, but they haven't all done these crazy things. But like, why not? Somebody has somewhere.
Because
Why
I
couldn't it have
do
been them?
know with like, for example, like Katie Robert, like she's very, very open about like the characters she writes about. And so she does do interviews with people who are interested in stuff like this, who are into these different types of kinks. And so she does her research on it and then writes about it. But
That's
I
so
don't know
smart.
if she personally partakes in it, but she's trying to be inclusive in that sense.
Yeah, I feel like in that particular case, then like it's probably more likely that she doesn't have her own firsthand experience if she is like taking the time to interview people.
But like with Sav R Miller, like every single book, so you'll if you read the rest of this series, you'll understand. But like all of the books kind of focus on like different things.
Mm-hmm.
So like in some of them they're into like bondage, and some of them they're into primal play, so on and so forth. But like I wonder if she's ever actually tried any of them.
Hey, Sav, you want to
Sav,
come
if
on for
you
an
could
interview?
listen, we are basically neighbors, so
That's so true. Honestly, I think it would be fun if authors who write like romance that involve kinks had like a fun little like Q&A, like a little girl talk Q&A. I think that would be
Yeah.
really fun.
Oh, you know what? I wish we were going to a polycon so we could ask them in person. Um,
They would be like, "Girl, I'm
like get the fuck
blushing."
out of here. Because like, you know, like Sophie Lark, for example, like I have zero doubt in my mind that she has tried what she writes about. Like Sophie Lark strikes me as like a freak.
Yeah.
Like I know for a fact her and Business Daddy over there are getting it on, trying weird things
And
just to
I
see if
think
they
like
like it.
I think she's even like alluded to, if not explicitly said, that they do their own research.
They're like
I'm gonna see.
adventurous, yeah.
Which,
No.
get it,
So
girl.
like with her, yeah, I have zero doubt that she actually partakes. But like with other authors, like I wonder if they're just like, yeah, this seems to be very popular. Let me research it and write about it. But those are all my questions for this week. It's a pretty
Yeah.
short book, so I didn't have like a ton.
And it doesn't have a whole lot of substance. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, there's not a whole lot that goes on here.
But it was definitely worth the read to enjoy the rest of the Monsters and Muses series, even though it's not my favorite of the five. Like,
It is so important that you do read it.
yes, you should. And I think definitely you should read them in the order that they came out as well. It just like is more fun that way. But
It's a fun series.
it honestly, like, it's really enjoyable. Like, you'll, even if you don't like the first book, I recommend at least trying the second one because the second one is one of my, like, I think it's up there as
It's
one of my
so
favorites.
good.
I really like that one.
Cute.
So I feel like if you don't like the second book, you might not like any of them, and that's okay.
Because that's probably the mildest one she's written.
Yeah. And I think it's like the most relatable, like, because they're not like murdering people and stuff. Like, it's the most relatable, I feel like, of the,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. No, I
they're
do.
not
I
like
do know.
mafia.
She's just a normal girl.
Yeah. Anyway, join us next week as we discuss the bonus content for Promises and Pomegranates. Sav wrote a prequel called Sweet Sin, and then there's also a bonus epilogue to this book.
Yeah, and then the week after that, we're going to be covering the first 3 novellas in the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. It is so good. I'm so excited to be covering these. They're very, very quick reads, so they're free on Kindle Unlimited. Go ahead and download those. Get started.
With that one, are there trigger warnings?
Yeah, there are a couple trigger warnings for that one. It is about serial killers,
That's
so
what I thought.
that's
I actually haven't
definitely
read them
probably
yet,
a trigger.
Yeah, so we're sticking with the darker themes with
It'll get better
these next
eventually.
books. But I mean, like, if it's not your favorite, definitely don't force yourself to read them by
Just
any
skip
means.
it. Skip
Just
it.
skip it, and we'll talk to you when we're doing things that are a little less scary.
When we get back to Emily Henry, we'll let you know.
Exactly. So we will talk to you guys next week, and as always,
Let's get lit.